So, Benjamin, congrats on the documentary. I really enjoyed it. And I read that this incredible story where you had seen the BBC feature and you reached out to Matt's parents and you got these home videos from them, and you yourself and your parents were in the video, right? Like that makes it all seem like destined, like you were the one supposed to tell the story. That's blew my mind.
Yeah, it blew my mind too, and I think the first one of the first footage I saw when I digitalized the family videos was first Mats and then me right beside Mats in a playpen together. So I called up my mother and I asked her, "Could you look at our like family photo album?" And she sent me like a screenshot of a picture of Mats and me in a playpen together. So without knowing it, I had met Mats as a baby.
That is just so crazy. And I really love just this core story because here's this person that, his parents didn't think was getting to live a fulfilling full life. And we see through, gaming and just community, he's able to experience all of this. What about that human element really stood out to you and made this scream a real story that had to be told?
I think one of the first things I noticed when I began reading this huge role play and forum post like text archive was that I saw it was a coming of age story here. And I could recognize a lot of the things Mats Ibelin had experienced growing up from the teenage years. The only difference was that Mats experienced that inside the game. So that was one of the things that I really wanted to portray. And how is it like to kind of grow up inside a game? Is it possible to experience love with somebody you never met? Is it possible to make friends? That was one of the things that resonated a lot with me with his story. But at the same time, you know, Mats, he was as ill as it's almost possible to get towards the end of his life. He could only move his fingers. Um, and he managed to help so many of his friends around Europe. So when he passed away at the age of 25, people from all over Europe came to his funeral. And his parents received around 50 different messages telling stories about what their son had meant to them, but also how their son had changed their lives. So that was one of the like first things I began realizing when I began making this film.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. And one thing that I thought the documentary did so well and leveraged was this blog that Mats was uh, put out before his death. And he was just such a wonderful writer. How was it, selecting those tidbits? Because that's such a great way to frame the story through his own words and
Mm.
through his own perspective. I thought that was lovely.
And thank you for saying that. I think when I heard that Mats had written a blog, when you're making a documentary film, you really hope that, oh, I really hope it's good writing. But usually, to be honest, in documentaries, when you tell a story in retrospective, it's usually bad writing. And you need to work a lot to make that work. And when I read the blog, I was actually extremely surprised in a very positive way because it was so well written. It was funny, thoughtful, philosophical. It had a rhythm to it. It was a kind of stream of consciousness kind of way of writing. And the stream of consciousness kind of writing works so much better in film than just one-to-one writing. So I think like for me, it was 10 out of 10, his blog, and I would encourage anyone to read it. We also gathered text from outside the blog in forum posts as well. Mats did some interviews as well, so we gathered kind of text from other places, but most of them are from his blog, which is called Musings of Life.
Yeah, it's wonderful because I think back on my forum posts and like my Tumblr blog, and nothing would be usable. So it's incredible just how great his writing was. And I love that you guys used the actual models from World of Warcraft and animated these scenes. And we're in this really inventive space with documentaries where we're seeing stuff like Piece by Piece also come out, where we're seeing documentaries presented in such a unique way. So I would love to get your thoughts on just using, other technology and really helping us show his story through this virtual world because it's so wonderful.
For me, I think that there's so many people who live parts of their lives online. And I think it's very important for documentary filmmakers, but also all storytellers to tell those stories. And then we need to find new ways to tell those stories. And I think with this film, our goal was to make a film that would invite everyone into the virtual world with kind of real events, real characters, real dialogue. Everything has happened, but it is a reconstruction of the game. Um, so I think that by inviting everyone in with doing animation, but at the same time, hopefully being all the gamers will feel it's a good representation of the game. So that was our goal. And I'm, of course, very fan of documentary filmmakers trying out new stuff. And I think, to my knowledge, this is the first documentary to recreate an actual lived avatar life in retrospective. We've had many films that show the gaming world, but it's more in present tense. Here we are doing those reconstructions in retrospective, and we're doing it with animation that's a kind of representation of the game. And I really hope that like my goal was that also my grandmother would understand it, and she's 94 years old, and she did, which was a great accomplishment for me personally.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody can really take something from this, regardless of if they're a gamer or not. And I was curious because I read that you showed this to Blizzard like after the fact, and
Hmm.
like they had a very positive response. How key was it getting that sign off from them? Because there's another world where they're like, well, you're using our property, and it's like all this work goes down in flames. So can you speak to that?
It was a huge risk. I think it's possible to take out models from the internet from the game, so we could make this film without Blizzard knowing about it. So we actually just made the film without telling them. And then after approximately like 3 years, we wrote them an email saying, we've made this film, we used your IP, we used your whole world. Can we get the rights for free without involvement from you? And that's what I call the Norwegian way. And then they wanted to watch the film, so we traveled to California to their offices. I was extremely nervous. I'm a very neurotic person, and my producer, Ingvild, she's not. But I had to take some extra doses of asthma medicine in order to breathe before that meeting because we did not have a plan B. So we showed them the film. After the film, one of the bosses looked towards us, and he said that this is a fantastic film. He was actually crying, and he said that we will let you use our world. So that was a huge relief. And if they had said no, I don't think this film would have been made.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. They say ask for forgiveness rather than permission, and I'm really glad it worked out because this is such a wonderful thing. And I'm really glad this is being released on Netflix as well because of the global reach, and this is such a global story, just as how Mats impacted so many people from different countries. So having this platform and getting it be seen by so many people here so soon. What does that mean for you? Because that has to be so exciting to know that millions are going to watch this. That's incredible.
That means a lot. And I think I'm a Norwegian documentary filmmaker. I'm not used to my films being watched by many. And I make like first and foremost documentary films for a Norwegian audience, and here it's now gradually reaching the world. I don't know what will happen when it's on Netflix. I hope that many people watch it, but and I, but I don't know. So it's October 25th. It's the date, and yeah, it means a lot. We are in this film. It's in a way a celebration of online communities, and to show this on a digital platform felt very, very right for this project.
Yeah, and my last question for you, we've seen, MMOs come under fire for being, like addictive, and I'm just really glad that we got to see such a positive take on it because I know other gamers and I've made such meaningful friendships through games. So I just love that we got like this really lovely take that shows like the positive side and that this person was able to see have such a fulfilling life. So I'd love to hear you just talk about, that flip side because there is a stigma around, somebody spending tens and thousands of hours on a game like this.
Hmm. So in Norway, when I read the news, I would say that approximately 98% of the news coverage about gaming is negative. It's too much time used in front of a screen. It's toxic. The people you meet there can be dangerous. All of these kind of headlines. And I found it very important to tell a different kind of story. And I hope this film can create discussions between the generations, that the youth will talk to their parents about gaming, or the grandparents. I hope it can create a better emotional understanding of how impactful online friendships can be. At the same time, I think also hopefully the film shows this in a nuanced way. We also show that Mats could actually hide behind the computer, and that created a lot of problems for him. So we're not only showing the positive sides, we're also showing some negative sides, which is of course important as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to people discussing it. We've had the theatrical release in Norway of this film. 120,000 people watched it in the theaters, and we're a very small country, which is a lot. And we saw that a lot of uh, parents and grandparents saw it first, and then they watched it again with their teenagers or children. And they used a lot of time discussing it afterwards. So for them, many gamers got messages from their parents or about like I'm sorry, I kind of disconnected the internet to your computer. Now I understand more how important those online friendships are for you. So I think for us as filmmakers, it's very fulfilling to see those kind of conversations arising after they've watched the film.